In this video, we're going to look at a couple stocks in here who have been pretty volatile in the past 3 weeks or so. We like the volatility. We'll take the volatility in the market. We like how everything is just kind of trading by itself, right? There's no really good correlation. Everybody's just kind of deciding when they wake up, hey, we're going to roll into AMD today. Just kidding. We're going to roll into Micron. All right, no, we're going to do it. It's awesome. I like this. This is very unusual. And I like the volatility that we are getting throughout the overall markets. I like this weird inverse correlation that we're getting between different sectors. But going forward, we're going to watch kind of just individual stocks and we're going to see how they react to their own implied volatility and what they care, if anything, about the VIX and in the overall market. So that's kind of the game plan in here going forward. So in this video, we're going to look at a couple stocks that have been pretty volatile in the past 3 weeks. And actually, they had huge runs up. They had huge runs in Thursday's trading session and then big pullbacks in Friday's trading session. So first up, we're going to look at VSAT in here. That's ticker symbol VSAT. We're trading just below that $70 level. You can see right here, this weekly candle, just huge upper and lower wick. Although we did in green, that body's pretty small. That's showing, hey, overall, this is some indecision here. So a good battle in here. Nice big pullback in here 2 weeks ago, coming off of these $80 levels right here where your upper trend line is. Big pullback in here a few weeks ago. Then this past week, obviously, just kind of a battle in here, figuring out where are we going to set up as we go into next week. It looks like that $70 handle is going to be key for us. So basically, anything above that, let's focus on working on that 75 and then that $80 range to the downside in here. We're going to be looking at that 9-day EMA, wherever that does end up, and then that $65 level. Anything outside that $65 level, it's going to be down here at this lower trend line of this overall structure. That's gonna be right around that $55 mark. Your RSI is still pretty high in here, so you have to keep that in mind. And also be careful when this volume in here that has been creeping up in the past month starts to kind of fade. That is going to be another indicator. So depending on where we're at within this overall trend line, keep an eye on where your volume is, because if we're high up here with low volume, then obviously look for a pullback and vice versa. So take all that into consideration as you are looking at VSAT in here. But hey, we'll take the volatility. We like that, and we're going to see what we can get. IV rank in here is sitting at 30, about a $5 expected move in here by your monthly expirations. It looks like that's all it has in here is the monthlies. Your July expiration around $13. And then you do have earnings coming up August 4th. So this is going to be an interesting stock in here. We're going to see what type of volume, what type of options volume is going to come in here. But overall, we like the moves that we had in here in the past few days. And we like how the overall market is kind of correlating with this underlying. Now, we also are going to take a look at another stock in here. It's going to be Redwire. Another one that's pretty high IV. You can see big pullback in here in the past 3 weeks. Nice little run up in here, really since the beginning of May, end of April in here. Nice little squeeze crossover on your moving averages. Now you got a big separation, obviously coming back down to meet it. So going forward, what are we looking at in here overall on this weekly chart? Well, we're going to watch that 9-day EMA. So you had this big separation here between these two moving averages and just kind of the stock price itself and this 9-day EMA, obviously pulling back, and not only pulling back and touching it, we actually had a breach and a close under that level. So going forward, that 9-day EMA is going to be key for us as our first resistance, wherever that does end up, depending on what type of movement we are going to get pre-market next week. But right now that's sitting at 1526. So that is going to be our first resistance. Anything outside of there, we're looking at 1757. And then we are going to be watching that $20 area right here. To the downside, what are we looking at? Well, if we cannot get a nice breach back across that 9-day EMA and a hold, then to the downside in here, $15 psych level, that's going to be key. And then we're looking at that 1275. And then that 50-day SMA right here, which is trading right around that 1045 area. So your RSI and things like that, a little bit neutral in here as compared to VSAT, but also we got that large volume in here overall. So you do have to keep all this into consideration as you're watching where this thing might end up next. As far as our implied volatility goes, your IV ranking here is higher. It's at 50, and you have about a $2 expected move priced in by this coming Friday's expiration. Next Friday, right around $3. If you go all the way up to July, right around a $4 expected move in here. So we're going to see how both of these stocks react to this big volatility that they just had in here in the past 3 or 4 weeks. When we do get a mean reversion in our volatility, where are we going to consolidate at? That's the real question, right? That consolidation is going to come. We know it is. We know that volatility is going to contract. We want to try to take advantage of that. But also the question is, are we going to settle up here in these 15s? Are we going to stay right around this 9-day EMA, or do we have to come and collapse all the way back down here to these 10s before we get a nice volatility mean reversion? Same thing with VSAT. Where are we going to, do we have to come back down to those 60s or those 55s before we can get that full mean reversion in our IV? Or is that only going to spike things? And then is the consolidation going to come up in those 70s and 80s at the top of that overall structure in there on the chart for the VSAT? So going forward, that is kind of what we're looking at. Let's see what happens as we go into next week. All in all, we like the volatility. We like the movement that we see in these stocks. Let's see how we can take advantage of it going into this next trading week. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to check out all of our social media. We also have a Discord service if you are interested, and you can find all of our socials in the description below.